This is Louie, and if you're like me and you want to keep the Western gaming industry on life support, head on over to PlayAsia and pick yourself up a Western sequel. I mean, standalone game. Are those even still a thing, or are they all sequels at this point? Because they might just be. So head on over to PlayAsia, pick yourself up an original Japanese title or decent sequel that's actually in every way better than the previous one, or pick yourself up something from the West, which, I mean, take a shot in the dark whether it's good or not. I might be spending the majority of the time of this commentary shitting on the Western industry, but hey, I'm looking out for number one, baby, and that is money in my pocket. Heading over to PlayAsia, and if you don't want to do that, if you are going to be actually consistent and say, Louie, I'm not buying anything, then head on over to J-List and pick yourself up some sort of weeboo trash that makes me some fucking money. They have good shit with slow shipping. I like J-List. I've purchased things from J-List. They have slow shipping. But if you don't want to actually buy anything from Japan because you're a fucking racist, head on over to my Patreon and support me there. Hell, I don't care if you have just bought something from the two previous affiliates, head on over to Patreon, support me there, give me some of that good greenback money, or whatever fucking funny money your country prints. I need your money. I am on life support. My channel is like Western gaming, in that if you don't give me some fucking money, we're gonna be all out of a job tomorrow. Not really, I don't do this full time, but I'm trying to coerce you into giving me money. Feel bad for me. I just bought a house, man. I'm low on money. You need to help me, man. Let's see if that bullshit worked on you. Alright, let's go right into it. Links are in the description. So this is Louie, and it is late in the evening, and you're gonna hear my fucking video card, the fan on it, making a whirring sound. For whatever reason, it does this every once in a while, and it annoys the shit out of me. I just stopped playing a game, so maybe it's trying to cool itself down, but you're going to be hearing that in the background. That's why I mention it. So, unfortunately, we're going to have some audio problems with this commentary right from the get-go. You're going to hear that fan just whirring and whirring. Anyways, so I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I have talked about in the past, and that is gaming, Western gaming, the industry itself. I'm going to be expanding upon my old video called The Inconsequential Death of Western Gaming. So this, for my channel, for my subscribers, was probably the most controversial video I ever uploaded. I lost a little bit over 200 subscribers from that video. I gained them back, but that was my most controversial video, where a channel my size lost over 200 subs from one video. What it was a very pessimistic estimation of the Western gaming industry. And, oh, my fan stopped, cool. So, I guess you can disregard my audio warning. It was a very pessimistic estimation of the industry, the state of the industry, and dealing with the issue of being a lifelong gamer and being incredibly frustrated. It's probably, at that moment in time, it was probably the most frustrated I've ever been with gaming. I was looking at the status quo. I was looking at, the future, the games on the horizon, and what I believed would be the future of gaming to my best estimation, and it was very bleak. And it still is, in large part, very bleak. There's multiple reasons why I am upset by what I see with the gaming industry. I think people, for whatever reason, were unable to get past their own bias. I had a few people reach out to me and offer criticism, but it was incredibly bad criticism. I'm not talking about the people that rage quit my channel, but I'm talking about the people that tried to be constructive in terms of what I said. In large part, I found most of their criticism to be completely worthless, if I'm being frank. That doesn't mean that I'm perfectly correct in what I said, but when you offer a reply and it doesn't actually address the things that I'm offering to you as my state of mind, but also my criticism of the status quo of the industry, when you don't actually address what I say, your argument falls flat. And I have not been convinced whatsoever that, other than my anger at the time, my frustration, which I vented in that video, other than that, which people can just set aside, in terms of my arguments that I made in that video, I still think that I am 100% correct. If you look at the industry on the whole, on a macro level, there's a lot of reason to be pessimistic. There's a lot of reason to be judgmental and criticize and critique what we have currently. Because based on my estimation, things aren't improving. And that doesn't mean that everything, literally everything, is bad. Every game is shit. See, that was one of the problems people had, was they took me literally. Take an honest look at the industry. Take my provocative language. Don't just react. Have a natural defensive reaction because you're a fucking fanboy. Just take what I said and consider it. And a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people did actually take that seriously. And they did not just fall in line and kiss my ass, but they said, I understand where you're coming from. It incorporates a lot of things. It's not just SJWs. That's just one aspect. That, I think, is an accelerant to where we're going. And if you look at Battlefield 5, you'll find no greater example of what I was talking about. SJW nonsense, sequelitis, just endless sequels. That was one of the things I continued to talk about, was no new ideas, no innovation whatsoever. That was one of the things that I stressed, and again, I'll stand by it. I will stand by what I said in that video. If I'm wrong, just point it out. Give me a counterexample. Give me counterexamples. Give me a counter-argument. Don't just unsubscribe, rage quit the channel, or dismiss me, which is the worst thing that you could possibly do. I think that in large part people dismiss people like me, much to their own detriment. I'm someone that is with you on this airliner, trying to warn you that the plane is going down, that unless we take action, maybe even drastic action, we're all gonna fucking die. This whole thing is gonna crash. And unlike people that actively want to crash, that's not me. Despite how harsh I was in that video with my frustration with being a gamer and saying that I'm no longer a gamer because of how badly things are going, the reason I said that, the reason why I said that, was due to the fact that of the issue of what people are calling NPCs in terms of people. It's a meme, but I call it zombie buyers. It's people that wake up, shave, take a shower, go to work, get out of work, buy a game that they invested nothing in looking into, just shell out $60, come home, play it, maybe play it for 2 or 3 other days that week, drop it, never play it again. And if they do continue to, they buy in microtransactions. They buy, the deluxe version, even though it comes with just, bullshit additions. They don't really think about what they're doing. They don't really have any real attachment to gaming. Outside of it's a form of escape for them. That's as far as it goes with them. And that's, in large part, I'm not trying to judge that person as an individual. I'm not trying to say that they have to be autistically invested in gaming. But what I am saying is that there's too many people like that. And this is what I said at the time of making that video, and I still stand by it. There's too many NPCs. There's too many zombie buyers. There's too many people just that are going to go out, and no matter how much bad coverage Battlefield 5 is going to get, they're going to buy it. I guarantee you that game sells, I'll say 2 million. Just right out of the gate. 2 million. I know at least 1 million, but I'll say 2 million. So I'm going to see if I can salvage the beginning of this commentary by trying to make this a coherent commentary. And I'm going to do that by addressing this video by Raging Golden Eagle briefly, concisely. He just put this out on his own channel. I know he's a subscriber of mine. And in large part, I agree with his commentary in this regard, talking about what we're currently seeing in the industry. I will reiterate that I believe that I am correct in that there is very little reason to be optimistic right now. Because from my standpoint, I don't want to see what happened to comics happen to gaming. I'm going to try to make this concise. Comics, Marvel, DC Comics, the big two, are dead. They are dead. DC less so. Marvel's dead completely. The reason why I'm just going to say that is because they've both, in large part, Marvel more so than DC, they've both staked their position in that if you don't like what they're publishing, you don't buy it, and you can fuck right off. And what people are doing is finding random-ass people like Ethan Van Sciver, just one guy, and Richard Meyer, just some random guy who's a comic book fan up until he made a comic and it made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You have people with small-ass channels that are very similar to even my own or Raging Golden Eagle here, small, under 100,000. You have people that are putting out comic books on fundraisers, crowdfunding websites, and making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know why? It's not because these people have, channels with 10 million subs. They're not like major figures. It's just the demand is so great that whenever they just put out a product and say, here you go, thousands and thousands and thousands of people buy the comics. There's that much demand for something that is an SJW shit. I don't want to see Western gaming become that. We are careening down that path right now. And we still are. Nothing has changed. We're still on that path. People can celebrate Telltale going under. It's meaningless on the grand scale of things. It's absolutely meaningless. That's why, I haven't even done a video on it. I talked about it in a stream because I had the time at my disposal to talk about it, but I could do a full video on that. I could do a full video talking about everything that happened. It actually is a watershed moment, in my opinion, because what it shows you is that narrative games, which everyone lauded, everyone was lauding them, were nothing but a fucking gimmick. They were nothing but a fucking flash in the pan. That everyone, gamers, journos, insiders in the industry, everyone was saying that this was a major part of gaming now. And they were completely wrong. I don't give a shit if there's 3 other companies in the entire goddamn industry that haven't failed yet. I don't give a shit that Don't Nod made some money on their vampire game. Guess what? Their next game, Life is Strange, it's going to be a fucking bomb. Don't believe me? Okay, fine. Why don't you go buy some Telltale games while you're at it? Oh, wait! I can think back to 2015 where everyone was saying how wrong I was about Telltale. Okay. Negro Damas has spoken. This is a fad. This was a fad. I should correct myself.
That's good stuff.
It was a fad in 2013. There is a market for narrative games and visual novels, but it is not mainstream. It is niche. It will always be niche. I don't give a shit how many random jagoff fucking, borderline progressives on Twitter. I'll just leave that alone. I don't want to get involved in drama. There's a lot of people on Twitter, people that I've even met at events, that will just laud games like The Walking Dead and whatever else. They'll laud, just flash in the pan, feel good bullshit. Politically correct bullshit. They'll laud it. They'll praise it. They'll say, oh, this is the future. This is so great. And it'll die. I mean, do I need to explain to anyone why a game made in 2012, Grand Theft Auto 5, is still one of the top selling, it's still one of the top selling games in the industry. Every time there's a sale on Steam, Grand Theft Auto 5 is in the top 10. Every single sale. A game that was made in fucking 2012. Every single fucking time there's a sale, that game is in the top 10. What does that tell you? But whatever. I'm losing my train of thought on this just because it's frustrating. It's frustrating. It just seems to me that there's so many people that just refuse to listen. And this is the thing, what I am saying is not politically correct. That is in my opinion, that's one of the main problems, is to express this contrary viewpoint to inclusion, to diversity, to the rest of it, to, in essence, the idea of women need to be in everything. Any contrary viewpoint to that is not politically correct. And it is the easiest thing in the world, the easiest fucking thing, to just say, no, I'm in favor of diversity. No, I'm in favor of inclusion. Oh, I love women. I'm a feminist, blah, blah, blah. Or even if you say I'm an anti-feminist, you still play to that politically correct bullshit. Whatever's going on at Creative Assembly, this community manager told their fans to fuck off. Oh, get over it, guys. It's just a game. Get over it, guys.
That's politically correct. You could still be an anti-feminist and say, it's just a game, guys. Oh, why are you being so ass-hurt as a community? You're the person that's supposed to be representing PR for this company, and your community told you to go fuck yourself, but it's just a game, guys. That, to me, is one of the biggest problems is, like, how do I convince these fucking people? Well, you don't. I mean, that's the thing, you don't. Because you don't know. You don't know whether that person who's saying that shit actually believes it or not. You really don't. This is one of the rumors that are floating around right now. How many people that are even part of the anti-feminist, sphere and all that, the skeptic sphere and all the rest, how many people, and this has been floating around for a little while now, how many people actually believe what they say they believe? They sympathize so much with the status quo, and yet they claim to be against it. It's really weird. And I don't know if that's a good spot to leave it alone or not. But I'll just reiterate that when there's an outrage, something has happened. Patrick Soderlund tells gamers that they're uneducated, and if you don't want to buy Battlefield 5, fuck off. In effect, that is what he is saying. He can dress it up all he wants about talking about his fucking daughter. He's still telling you right before he resigns and gets a golden parachute to go fuck yourself. That is what he is saying to you as a customer. I'm sitting on the board of directors. You're an EA customer. Go fuck yourself. That is his position. This retard at Creative Assembly or anywhere else, even at Telltale, they got in trouble for this in whatever it was, second week of September. It's becoming more and more routine that you just tell your customers to go fuck themselves. And this, by the way, that happened in comics. You can go ask Richard Meyer about that. Go ask him about that. He did a video just recently. I wish I could have had it up on the screen to mention it. He did a video talking about that, how out of nowhere this became a thing in comics, that comic book devs, or not devs, but insiders, professionals, they started telling customers to just go fuck themselves. They just started berating and dismissing and being mean to customers. And then the industry crashed. And it's never going to fucking recover. It's got parent companies paying money into it, but it's not really making money anymore. Maybe DC is to some extent in a couple comic books. And Marvel are making money. But outside of that, they're not making any money. Gaming is on that track. And they're doing the things that comic book insiders, professionals, were doing. Like telling customers to go fuck themselves over and over and over again. They did that. Now gaming devs are picking up that tactic, that behavior, as PR representatives for the community and for the corporation. If you just want to dismiss that, you are dismissing gaming, Western gaming, as we know it, dying. Being dead. It's just a game, guys. I understand that's a politically correct thing to say, but that's not actually addressing why, what is it, Total War Rome 2 is getting review bombed on Steam. You can just say, oh, they shouldn't be review bombing. Why? Why? Why are they review bombing? Why don't you ask yourself that question? Why don't you put it out there? Why are people review bombing Rome Total War, Total War Rome 2, whatever the fuck it is? Why are they doing that? And the answer is because they don't like how they're being treated by someone that works for the developer. They don't like how they're being treated as, ready? Customers. When you tell the customer to go fuck himself, they get upset. And they usually take action. Some of them will. Some of them will just, wave it away. Some of them will just be angry but not do anything. And then some will take action against you. This is a natural reaction to the company, the company that sells customers products. Why do I need to explain this? What kind of world are we living in where I'm literally having to explain when you walk up to, let's say, a coffee shop and you say, hello, I'd like a coffee, please. And the barista behind the counter says, hey, go fuck yourself, you fucking faggot. And the person who's buying the coffee takes the coffee and goes, what the fuck was that? I'm just here to buy a fucking coffee. Why'd you tell me to go fuck myself? Why'd you call me a faggot? And somebody runs in to the coffee shop, to the cafe, and says, hey, it's just a coffee. It's just a coffee. You're just here to buy a coffee. What are you so upset about? But it is, in fact, the politically correct thing to say. It is. Crazily enough, weirdly enough, in the common era that we are now in, the modern era of SJWs ruining everything, it is acceptable for swaths of people, more than just SJWs, swaths of people that would describe themselves as fucking woke centrists, it's acceptable to them to just have somebody tell you to go fuck yourself to your face as a paying customer, and you're just supposed to eat shit and accept it. And any reaction that you have to that, to what they've said to you, is inappropriate and stupid. If I haven't already mentioned Raging Golden Eagle's video, his video is what prompted this response. It's not really a response. It's more of, I'm sort of leaping off of his video in this. The reason I like it is because it accurately addresses the idea of there is no common ground. There is no way for us to coexist with the SJWs, which is what the people that are just saying it's just a game and the rest, Angry Joe even, when they say, why are you so upset? Why are you reacting? It's just a game, etc., etc., the things that they say, there is no way for us to coexist. And that's why I'm so pessimistic. It's why I have such a bleak outlook. We're not unified at all. It's just the NPCs, the zombie buyers, they're a big faction. You have the people that are either sympathetic to what's happening with SJWs infiltrating the industry or are otherwise being politically correct. Like Angry Joe is just being politically correct. He might sympathize to some small degree, but I think honestly he's just being an opportunist in taking the action he knows to be politically correct. That's what I think he's doing, in all honesty. Maybe at some point I've called him an SJW. I don't know if I have. I know I've talked about it in the past, especially after he did the total 180 on Battlefield 5, which he did, by the way. He defended Battlefield 5, then just flipped on it. Immediately did a 180 on it and just started bashing it. To me, that shows you that it's not about defending an ideology. It's about, he's still shilling in some respect or covering for SJWs in gaming. But he's now realizing that he's backing a bad horse by defending Battlefield 5. It's a fucking loser. It's going to be a bomb. Still going to sell probably 2 million copies. But it's a bomb. And it's not good. It's not a good idea for him to defend it. So that's why he's turned on it, in my opinion. That's why he's done it. It's cynically minded. It's realism in its truest form. It's the understanding that you're in fact losing not just random people that have stumbled across your channel, but you are also in fact alienating your own audience, and that's bad for you. So you realize and go, ooh, it's probably better. I'm probably better off if I attack Battlefield 5, even if I look like a total asshole and hypocrite at the same time, because I'm completely doing a 180 on my last position, of which I got into a huge drama with another channel over. It's a calculation in his mind, in my opinion. Quick thing that I can mention, if I haven't already, in relation to Raging Golden Eagle's video here, is that he talks about the idea of the fact that even if you had SJW content in a game, if you put forward the idea, and this is his thing, but I'm reiterating it here because it was a good point. If you demanded the option to be able to turn off the SJW content, so basically the option is in the game to remove all the SJW content, the SJWs would not go along with that idea. They would refuse that idea. And I absolutely agree. I completely agree with that assessment. I think it's stupid to demand it in the first place because I already know they would never go along with it. And it's also, in my opinion, conceding ground that you shouldn't be. But it is the fact that it would never be implemented anyways, because SJWs are only here to take everything. They're totalitarians. It's one of the things that I incessantly reiterate because it is absolutely true about their worldview and their politics. They are totalitarians. Anything that is not them is their enemy, or something that they will eventually co-opt, bring into the fold, and then it will become basically just them. Just progressivism, social justice, intersectionality, whatever label you want to stick on it. I think social justice or intersectionality is probably the best label that you can give it, the most accurate, I suppose. Progressivism, in my opinion, is it's not perfectly accurate, in all honesty, but it's broadly accurate. For those of you that are aware of progressive activism, it's broadly accurate to describe it as just progressive politics. It's not liberal. as you can plainly see by how these people act and what they call for, what they demand and what they eventually get, and how they behave once they've reached either a critical mass or a threshold in which there's enough SJWs within a company, which is another thing that he mentioned, but I think he should expand upon that a lot more. And maybe I'll do that here. That's what I'll do, is I'll expand upon what he said in his commentary, in that he talked about the fact that in companies, there are SJWs within them, and that is a major factor for why they're doing what they're doing. And I don't think you could find a better example than BioWare. In all honesty, you have devs in their company talking about SJW shit, and they just implement it. They literally say, like, there's this thing called the Bechdel test, which is basically whatever. You have this many women in a room, and they're not talking about a man. They're talking about something else. And they implemented that in Dragon Age Inquisition. It's one of the first parts of the game where the Inquisitor walks into, you're in a town called Haven, and you walk into basically the command room. You have more than one woman, and I forget who the devs were, but they basically lauded that moment in the game based on the Bechdel test, which is just an SJW invention for representation. It's just a total SJW invention. They celebrated that feature in the game. They implemented it based on their ideology. And there is no other reason why. The reason why that was ever a question in the first place of why that was necessary is that you have SJWs within the company. This is not even outside forces telling them to do this. They just naturally did it because they are already SJWs and they are already developers within the company that have the capacity to just implement that. That is the issue of SJWs in gaming corporations, is once you have enough SJWs in the company, it will just naturally include SJW bullshit. It doesn't even require NIDA or any other, consultants to come in and do anything. They will just naturally include it in the games. It requires no provocation whatsoever. They will just do it because they are already SJWs. And in my opinion, right now, there's no way to screen for that. These companies are not screening for that at all. They seem to think that it's some sort of positive feature to gaming. It's a great thing to have social justice activists in your fucking corporation. It's so great to have minorities that are fucking lunatics. I mean, why don't you hire some fucking fire-breathing conservative minorities? Oh, you're not going to fucking do that. You're going to screen them out of your corporations, in fact. You're just going to hire SJWs. We see this with all the companies, whether it's Ubisoft, Bethesda, EA especially, Activision with Blizzard. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And that's why I'm so pessimistic. Because there's no company. People can talk about Doom or some standalone thing. It's not convincing to me of something resembling pushback at all. But it's not really. It isn't. I don't even have much hope for Rockstar even. I've been shown some things. I've seen some things in my own time and in my own right that indicate some bad things for Rockstar. Here's an example. In their last update, which was this club, the nightclub update, which is actually not that bad of an update, one of the DJs that they selected, because you can select from 4 DJs. Now, I'm not that familiar with the different DJs, other than the Black Madonna, who is a massive fucking SJW. The developers knew this. They already knew who this woman was. They already knew. And the thing is, though, there's a million fucking mixers, DJs, musicians, however you want to describe people that are, in effect, just DJs. Of all the DJs in the world, of all of them, of which they only need 4. 4 is how many they went with. It could have been any 4 in the fucking world. It could have been the most apolitical DJ, of which there's plenty of those. Instead, they went with a massive fucking SJW. Massive fucking regressive. Massive fucking retard. Of all the DJs, they went with her. Why? It just begs the question, why? Why would you take somebody who's so obviously controversial and stick her in the game? Why? And that, like I said, it begs the question. I don't have an answer to that. I know that at their company, they do have a left-leaning bias, but it's just nowhere near pronounced as so many other companies. I guess this is just what you naturally get with artistic mediums, like gaming, like the gaming industry. It's just naturally artistic. It's just what you're going to get. And I'm just going to leave it at one example, because I know that as it relates to this topic, I could spend the next hour going through examples of small things about Rockstar that are worrisome as it relates to infiltration and bias and issues of SJW content and presence and influence. But the thing is, I already know people are going to say, yeah, it's probably a problem there, just like it's a problem everywhere. They're going to agree with me, or they're just going to dismiss me. I could spend the next hour, they're going to say, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're Anita Sarkeesian, you're retarded, lol, it's just a game. And I'm never going to convince them, and I'm not going to bother. It's one of the reasons why I did that video. It's one of the reasons why I just wanted to walk away. Because I already knew that, like, there's just people that you can't convince. There's just people that don't want to accept it. They'll watch Telltale fold. They'll just blame everything but the fucking SJW presence. They'll blame everything. Management. Oh, the game quality. Blah, blah, blah. The choices. Blah, 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 blah. The game sales. Oh, you're right, Louis. It was a fad, but that's the only reason. Blah, blah, blah. Like, they'll just come up with every excuse in the fucking book. Just like fucking Angry Joe. Go off on a tangent, screaming at the top of your lungs, reading your comment section in which they're calling you a spick and shit, just to avoid the topic. Just to avoid addressing what people are saying. I'm not going to sit here and bother with those people. I'm just going to preach to the choir. Judge me all you want. I'm just preaching to the choir. I'm sitting here as the pastor, and this is my microphone is my podium, and I am just telling you what you already know, likely what you already know. And you're just going to sit there, you're going to nod your head, you're going to give me a hallelujah or that's right every once in a while, and that's going to be the extent of this. And that's fine to me. This is where I've settled. I'm fine with it. Because I know that my very small presence on YouTube is not going to change fuck all. I'm not changing anything from my position. It's a train that is rocking back and forth on the tracks and could any point just go off the fucking... I mean, all it requires is for enough people to just stop buying games. That's all this requires. What happened to music games? Industry-wide. Everyone just all of a sudden going, you know what, gaming is just a fad, walking away. And that's millions of people potentially. There are not millions and millions and millions of hardcore gamers that buy fucking everything. There's millions and millions and millions of casual gamers and NPCs and zombie buyers, as it said. All it requires is for those people to just walk. Find something else that's more attractive to them or more entertaining to them, or it provides a better escape for them than gaming, to walk away. And if that happens, that's millions and millions less in sales, which is billions less in profit. If you think that's impossible, okay, that's what people said about Marvel. Oh, don't worry, Louis, the Marvel movies are doing good. Yeah, let's just avoid the issue of the comic books. Okay, just come up with every excuse in the world to just escape the fact that this is an actual real issue. And that my whole point in this is I don't want the industry to fail. I never want Telltale to fail. I want BioWare to fail. That's true. Quote me on that. I want BioWare to fail. I never wanted Telltale to fail. I wanted their games to get better, and they never did. And when they did a little bit, it was too little too late. I never wanted Telltale to fail. And it's the reason I never made a video on it. At least I haven't yet. I'm still considering it. I have half a script. It's like, all it is trying to explain everything that I've explained before. Just say, yes, I was right. Here's how. Here's why. All these things contributed. What can I say? I said this in 2015. Nobody fucking listened. People raged at me. People unsubscribed from me. People refused to listen. Just dismissed me. I made more and more videos on it. They continued to dismiss me. I predicted this, Telltale, almost to a T of exactly what was happening. I was almost perfectly right of what was happening at that company. Perfectly. I'm not saying mostly. I'm saying almost, like, totality-wise, I was right about what was happening at Telltale. And what happened was, I said, you're out of ideas, you're out of time, you're done. And guess what? Bing, bang, boom, I was right. And the whole point was, I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be right. I wanted them to change, and they didn't. So, okay, shit on me. You know, just say whatever you want about me. It doesn't make me wrong. See, just dismiss me at your peril, people. This is the whole thing of criticism. When I say I want BioWare to fail, that is telling you I actively want it to fail, but it's only after so much of them being bailed out by EA forever for shitting out crap games, of which I was a fan of their company for years, and I changed. They changed, I changed. And now I hate their fucking company, and I actively want them to fail, not just as a showcase of what happens when you get woke, but also because they betrayed me as a customer and a fan. So I want them to fail. And for the purposes of making this specific, I'm not going to mention Japanese games. And if you want to say anything to me about this video, anything at all, agreement, disagreement, criticism, whatever, don't mention the Japanese market. Don't mention the Japanese industry. Take the industry that's in Japan and put it over there. Don't mention it. I didn't mention it. Don't mention it. Because that is irrelevant to what we're talking about here. And I'm not speaking to Raging's video. He talked about that. I'm not necessarily, contrasting or disagreeing with him, but I'm just saying to what I am talking about, don't talk about the Japanese industry. Because that is wholly separate from what I'm talking about here. I want the Western industry to stop wobbling on the tracks until it's finally going to fucking go off and crash and die and the whole thing's over with. What I want is for us to stabilize, eject the people that are ruining everything, and get back to making great games, innovating for a change, which the industry that I'm saying we shouldn't mention is doing, and that's why they're succeeding. The Western market is not innovating. Here and there, with their countless fucking sequels, they are innovating to some degree. Battle Royale is, I guess, an innovation, but it's just a bunch of different companies stealing the same idea over and over again. It's pathetic. That's innovation to you? It's not. It's not to me, and it's not sustainable. It's just fad bullshit. It's not sustainable. It's not longevity in terms of this industry. Like, all these companies are so fucking reliant on microtransactions, pre-ordering, all these techniques. It's why they're so reliant on it. It's because they have no ideas. They don't even know how to innovate anymore. They're just managing decline. But I will just leave it here, because I've talked for long enough, and I think I have said what I needed to say, at least for the time being. Just some things to chew on for people. I want you to think. I want you to think. I want people to think about this. I honestly do. Because I don't think enough people are. Some are. Raging is. I like this video, and that's why I mentioned it in this. I thought it was a provocative video and very concise in everything that he mentioned. That is very accurate and true about the industry as it is now. But the reason why I say what I have to say here is that it fails to address some things, as I mentioned here. At least I hope I addressed them adequately enough. At least I did in my own mind. But also that we have a real issue here. We really do, in terms of gaming. Those of us that want it to get better. We have a real issue here. And I haven't really offered many solutions in this. And it's because, like I said a long time ago, I don't see how we fix this. I don't see it, man. And I don't want that to be the case. But everyone just assumes that about me. Oh, he just wants everything to crash and burn. It's like, no, I don't. I don't want that. But the thing is that that's the track we're on. Even if you want to just dismiss me, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't worry, Louis. Telltale is going to be just fine. At some point, I think a lot of people are going to have to come to terms with the way things are going. That all this fucking Battle Royale bullshit and all the microtransactions and all this crap that's just managing to decline, as I just said, this won't last forever. It really won't. People can keep relying on it as a crutch all they want. The companies can keep relying on it. Everyone can keep relying on all this shit as far as they want to. But it's to their own peril. All you need is something new to come into the works. And there's going to be millions of people that walk away from gaming without a second fucking thought. Because they buy these games without a second fucking thought. What do you, like, If something else comes out and it's better than what you're offering, why wouldn't they just walk away? Like I said, the majority of people that play games are not hardcore gamers. I can't even begin to tell you how few people, are hardcore gamers, really hardcore gamers, that buy a dozen or more games a year. Very few. So when there is a potential that people are going to walk away because all you have to offer is absolute shit, what the fuck happens to your company, man? Oh, I already know what happened to Telltale. Oh, man. All right, I'll leave it there. Some food for thought for all of you. Thanks for listening.